Okay, so I should now be sharing my screen. So hopefully you can see the slides. As a reminder for this week, the sort of main focus of the call, elegantly illustrated, is tales from Blocklist maintenance, which Peter is going to lead. Um, and also, I think there's a rumor that he's going to also lead us in some community carol singing at some point on the call. Um, People tell me, that's
What?
somebody in North
What?
America said.
What on earth?
For anyone who doesn't know Peter, ignoring that loud noise in the background, Peter is probably the most successful ambassador for first.org, as he's responsible for DNS abuse, and is doing a truly astounding job. I think it's fair to say, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'll take credit for all the DNS abuse on the internet.
Yes. So well, we'll do that, and then as always, we'll pick up on some of the surprisingly high volume of sort of DNS-related news from the last week or so, and a few other bits and pieces around internet governance, etc. We'll see how the time progresses. So, without further ado, I'm guessing Peter's probably going to lead off on tales from the Blocklist maintenance, and then maybe segue into the community carol singing.
Yeah, we'll see if we have enough time for that. I'm not sure. I think we might, overrun a bit.
I
So,
know.
yeah. Yes, so I presented this talk at the Ad Filtering Dev Summit in Cyprus earlier this year, and it's so I have been running a block list for ads and trackers since 1997. Started off as like a hosts file, and then turned into a master, well, a configuration file for bind, which just set bind as the master, the authoritative name server for whatever zone files I configured it to be. And then I decided to throw it up on a web page, and the rest is history. And I've been running it since then, and it's been used in a few different places. I claim it's the oldest on the internet, the oldest style. There's a few different things like this. The AdGuard DNS is a product you can buy or pay for. Actually, I think it's free. Sorry. Yeah. And there's various other DNS blocking things. You can use host files still, and there's lots of other ways with proxies and things. But having a list of domains for ads and trackers has been useful to some people. And as a result of this, because I put my name in the list and I called it at the time Peter Lowe's ad blocking list or something like that, it people send me emails sometimes. So this presentation is basically because I wasn't working on anything ad related recently, so I didn't really have it. They invited me to go and talk, but I didn't have anything to talk about. So I thought I'd just go over some of the little stories that I've heard, and really it's just reading out some emails or email exchanges that I've had. There is a bit of swearing, which I hope will be acceptable, but it's really just for historical accuracy because I'm just quoting the emails that I've received rather than myself injecting any crude messages into the conversation. Yeah, just a quick aside. I've always found it curious that the most common way that people find my email address and sending me a message is because in uBlock Origin is an ad block extension for Chrome, and well, it used to be for Chrome, uBlock Lite now, and for Brave. For browser extension, and it intercepts outgoing requests and blocks them if you, according to whatever filter list you're using. And mine is included as a default one, and it's used by a lot of people. And so when you see a block, it pops up this page. It says the domain ad.doubleclick.net has been blocked because of, and then it says the name of the filter list, which is my name, and then it's got a button you can proceed and whatever. And I've always found it a little bit odd that people have gone to the trouble of sending me an actual email because my name is not my name's there, but you have to click through on the link that's there that goes. I'll show you this on this page here. So found in Peter Lowe's ad and tracking server list, and then read the actual contents of the filter list, which has been imported, and the one that's there is like some just it's just a not exactly technical, but it's not non-technical either. So yeah, it's here. But people have read this far and gone to get me an email and sent an email to me. They've, put a relatively high amount of effort into all of this, but they completely miss this bit right here that says, "Don't warn me again about this site." I mean, fair enough. I think this page probably needs a bit of like improvement. It's maybe make it more obvious, but you know, it I've always found it a little bit odd. Anyway, so the first story is it's very short. There's a couple, most of them are very short here. It's not a very long talk at all. When I did it in Cyprus, it was, I don't know, 15 minutes or something, or 20 minutes. So it'll be over quickly. But Les sent me a message, very direct and to the point. Stop fucking blocking my internet. And that's, I think I started off with this because it's a quite typical of the sort of message that I would get. Next one is from JM. It's a little bit of a longer message from him. So he says, hello, warning, terrible grammar, which is an accurate warning, as we'll come to see. Thank you for your information. I don't have anything against non-native English speakers, but I think, in the days of ChatGPT and Google Translate and things that, perhaps it's also the meaning of the message that we're about to see that like confuses me a little bit. But yeah, his message goes on to say, is the Android configuration? Or does it exist? Or do I use a Linux format, etc.? Android 15, desktop selected in every browser possible, a location, I don't know. I don't know all to copy the use of exquisite four-letter words on your website, these fucking computer words on your awesome webpage, so I don't know where to begin. Or do I use the unbound version? So then goes on to say, I use alternative versions of Firefox too. I think all the type of individuals that you and others that create this type of information and websites to pass the information are just about the most underrated, societal, impactful, and informing others. So I really appreciate you. Just nice. The ethos is really the last bastions of the online beginnings to present AI future are really important. And if you have any suggestions for reading or researching or critique of the AI impact online or whatever, please share them, or references like just a website so I can dig my own rabbit hole. Jesse Smith and his phone number, which I thought was actually quite a nice way to, with his phone, just in case, give him a ring. I have to say, most emails I get, I do reply to, and this guy, even though the message was a little bit jumbled, I got back to him and we figured out what he was asking, which is all to do with different ways that he could use the block list. And he turned out to be quite a nice guy, but it was quite a sweet email, I thought. And then there's Daniel. Again, he's a little bit grumpy. Quite often, what happens is that people have something on their systems which has been installed for them, or some person has their son come over or daughter, sorry, come over and configure uBlock Origin or something or other, or they have a corporate environment or something's pre-installed and something's blocked for them and it annoys them. So they send me an email. Again, going through the whole process of like digging up my email and anyway, Daniel, using Norton security and I do not like something stopping me going to a normal site, so piss off. Which is quite nice. I didn't reply to Daniel. Victoria. Victoria sent me an interesting email. She says, Dear Pete, which was quite informal. I thought that was, interesting way to start off, but all right. The DPA agreement is blocked on multiple browsers because of your list. I'm not able to click and sign. TransPerfect isn't allowed to make my corporate account. See me attached screenshot. Blocked source is Cloudflare. Best regards, Victoria. So a bit confusing. Not quite sure what the DPA agreement is, or what TransPerfect is, or what her anything really. But screenshot attached. So let's take a look at the screenshot, see if that helps. Now here's the screenshot. Yeah. So if that's not quite clear it's in vertical, but she sent it to me as a in this way. It's a it's a screenshot from her phone of a photo that she's taken of her open laptop, which has a browser which has got the DevTools page open, and it's in German. Um, so yeah, it wasn't too much help, that particular one, but yeah. And a little detail in the corner, I guess it's the Wi-Fi network, which was just yes. And interestingly, I also got to see that Victoria was researching cross-site scripting, which and transperfect, obviously. So in cases like this, I have no real vested interest in people using the list, and I generally just say, look, if you're having an issue, just deactivate my list, just disable it, stop using whatever you're using. I'm not bothered. Don't worry, not going to be offended.
But not the blocklist police, Peter.
No, no, not well. Yes, that is fine. Just disable it. Anyway, she gets back to me. Hi, Pete. Yeah, good. Sounds good. Your list is in every browser: Chrome, Safari, Mozilla. I have no idea how to deactivate it. Do you have a screenshot for me? Kissy emoji. Which, yeah, my girlfriend wasn't. She laughed at that, but anyway. So again, I'm a little confused. And often what I do is try to say to people, look, I just maintain a list that's used by other bits of software, and I can't really do much to help really, because I don't support everything that uses my list. I don't support anything that uses my list. Actually, I can try and help sometimes, but I'm trying to sort of gently say you should Google something else other than emailing me or continuing to email me. And at this point, I think she's turned to ChatGPT because she's maybe not quite understanding me, or I don't know why she decided to. But anyway, hi, Peter. So back to a little bit more formal this time. Nice introduction. Thank you for your answer and your good work creating the list. That's amazing. It's very nice. I'm reaching out because I've experienced a critical issue since the end of August that is preventing me from completing an important job for TransPerfect. It appears that something on your web block list is stopping a necessary script from loading. The issue is now significantly delaying my work, and I urgently need your assistance to resolve it. Could you please review the block list and whitelist or temporarily allow this URL so I can proceed without further delays? Your prompt support would be greatly appreciated, as this is a time-sensitive matter. Bear in mind, by the way, that the first email that she sent me was several days ago. But at this point, I did get back to her and explain that what she needs to do to basically just disable uBlock Origin, which we figured out that she was using rather. And I hope I'm going to guess that she was trying to apply for a job or something. And yeah, well, good luck to Victoria.
Wondering, Peter, you're missing an opportunity here to expand your portfolio and offer out if the person that's emailed you this is for first class probably, if they would kindly download the software that will enable you to take over their computer,
Yeah.
that problem, and take yourself into new business venture.
Yeah, I could rename the list saying, "Warning: your infected host detected. Contact this number to be de-infected." Yeah, I'm not sure how well that would go with the maintainers of uBlock Origin or other people, but I mean, yeah, it's worth a try.
Premium service.
Yeah, why not? Premium service, premium
For the
support.
grumpy ones, especially.
Yeah. There's a few more grumpy ones in a minute. There's Robin, for example, who messaged me simply with, "Who the fuck are you to put blocks on my system? What the fuck? Fix it." Which was very demanding. But it is the general attitude of people who see this stuff, and to some extent, I can understand. But I hope they kind of at some point realize that being rude to random people on the internet is not always the best thing to do. Cynthia. So there's one last longer one, which I'll get to in a second, but there's a couple of other ones I wanted to just sort of put in there. They weren't in the Cypress thing, but I had another look through my inbox and my ads inbox. And I got this one from Cynthia, which is what? With a very exploding head emoji. Um, Um, and this is yes. Is this on my device right now? I think you were referring to me, aprilshowers1234 at hotmail.com. Not the real email address, but no real contact details have been included here, just for reference, so if anybody's worried. If so, I have two devices for you to help me with. I was hacked by a professional technologist. He had to be. The entity was very good, intelligent. I have been dealing with this for months. Norton LifeLock service turned their backs on me, said they couldn't help. Lawsuit! Anyway, let me know what is really going on. Can you find this sucker? I'm terminally ill and my nerves and my systems can't take much more. Thanks in advance. I did reply, but unfortunately never got a follow-up to that. So I hope that they're okay. I can understand. It's a bit of a muddled message. Next is Alec. Occasionally I do get sort of threats, or veiled threats, or, there was one lawsuit threatened at some point, which, I just mostly ignore because, again, I'm just maintaining the data. Actually impacted by this. But Alec was, yeah, started off quite nicely, actually. The subject is be a homie and unblock them. Why did block all these websites? Not cool, man. But then there's this sort of like pause, a few blank lines, and P.S. I know who you are, Peter Lowe. Excellent. Thank you, Alec. Yeah, carrot and stick both together. So the last little story I want to tell is about Carol. This is my favorite story, and it's what I keep in the back of my mind when I have a bad day or when I feel like not doing this anymore. I don't put a lot of energy into maintaining my list. A lot of it's automatic, and people submit most of the changes and things. So it's not a huge project, but from all the bad messages I get, the one from Carol, I think is my favorite, and this is a little exchange that we had. So. Dear pgl@yoyo.org, I have happily been using AdBlocker on my Mac OS X 10.8.6 for many years. But now, when there is a link to one of my non-profit accounts, like my local women's community group, to access important information, I can't get through because AdBlocker pops up and asks me if I want to terminate AdBlocker permanently or temporarily. I'm afraid to proceed because I don't know how to get it back. It's quite a, sensible, well-written email. Yeah, I was. It's nice to get this bit more descriptive. Advice or information would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. ABC1, and then her email address. And she's sort of defaulted using email, but you can tell it's sort of, she put a bit of effort into this, and but doesn't quite know what's going on. And she's a bit, some sort of warning has popped up, and yeah. So I get back to her and I try and explain, that I'm maintaining the list, etc. And she wrote back, Dear Peter Lowe, she's using my name now. She's got that, which is good. Thank you very much for the courtesy of your reply. I totally misunderstood the situation. I thought that you were the proprietor of the system I signed onto that resulted in the elimination of a great number, but not all, of advertisements from my screen when I went online. That is clearly not the case, and I apologize for taking up your time. It does sound as if you were involved with some project for the betterment of society, and for that, I thank you. Best wishes and stay well, Carol. Which was lovely. It's so nice and sweet. And she's sort of like, oh, I made a mistake. Didn't mean to email you. And in this case in particular, I'm sort of I have a bit of, I want to help her out. So I get back to her and say, well, listen, if you try and describe to me what you're seeing, we can probably figure out what you need to do to stop it, get to your women's society group. So she messages me back. Hi, Peter. Thank you very much. I attached two screenshots. We've seen screenshots. Well, they could be like, of the message from the women's community group voters in my area. To get the membership list, I click the blue rectangle towards the bottom that has white print, which says visit our website. Once I do that, I get the screenshot that says uBlock Origin has prevented the following page from loading. Any suggestions appreciated. And this is quite a this is a good bug report, I would say. It's quite descriptive. And she included a couple of very decent screenshots that showed exactly what she was, where she was, and what she was doing, where she was clicking and stuff. I was quite impressed. But the thing that really got me was the next line that says, your new old friend who is 85, Carol. And honestly, there's so many lovely things about this. The fact that she's persisting, that she's gone to the trouble of writing out a nice, friendly email, and is still, and thought about who it is that she's contacting. It's honestly joyful. So yeah, here's the screenshot that she sent me, which is a bit of a contrast to Victoria's from earlier. It's an actual picture of the page she's trying to get to and the uBlock origin error that's coming up and everything on it. The whole thing, not just of a phone photo, screenshot of a photo she took on her phone of her own laptop showing the page, which I think is going to be difficult to be. I was going to have a faxed version of that. But anyway, yeah, there were a couple more which were actually useful screenshots of the page she was visiting. I'm not sharing those because, she was, I said, could I share this with people? Because it's such a lovely story. And she said, yeah, that's okay. And we get things resolved. And then just to cap it all off, she sent me this beautiful, lovely email that just said, thank you so very, very, very much. Yes, I'm yelling out loud. You have given me lots to cheer about. Cheers to you too, Carol. And the rainbow text and everything in it was just wonderful. And so I always try and remember there are people like Carol out there who are kind and happy and just willing to put a little bit of effort into the situation that they're in and not claim ignorance or and yeah, so thank you, Carol. And then just to finish up with Damon, who why I want to shop at GameStop. I think we all do, Damon. So anyway, yeah. There you go. That's my little presentation. So I hope it was fun. I've got a link to the Andrew can share this if he wants, but otherwise, that's it.
Fantastic. And nice to hear from Carol at the end. Very, very apt for the time of year, I think.
She was lovely, I thought. Yeah.
I guess anyone involved in any sort of open source free software can probably empathise. Even though in your case, I suppose you're one step removed from that, even in the ecosystem. So, as you said, you're simply providing the block list that someone else is consuming.
Yeah. It gives me a measure of protection, which I'm grateful for. Means I can just ignore any kind of lawsuit threats, pretty much. Although who knows what Sony are going to say if one of their domains ends up on my list.
Yeah. Yes. Hold my beer on that one, but come on.
Yeah.
Think to that in a short while. But yes, well, what a sort of generally uplifting. Probably the message there, not subtly delivered, was maybe be polite, and you get a more positive response. Probably.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I mean, it doesn't really lend itself to questions, but if anyone else has any questions or comments, feel free to come in by unmuting or raising your virtual hand or putting something in the chat. I'll give you a few seconds just on the off chance. Eric, I think.
Hey there, thanks a lot, Peter. Also, thank you for that work. A question I have is: Have you ever been sued for what you've been published, or is this it was always seen as public benefit and just it was adopted, and you had the shield of the people who implemented the list?
I've had a threat of a lawsuit, but nobody's ever sent me any legal documents. For a long time, I was, since like 2013 or something, I was in Malta, which a lot of people have never even heard of. So actually getting the lawsuit to me would have been a challenge. But now I'm back in the UK, who knows? Maybe they'll start up again. But I never actually received any kind of cease and desist letters. So
there are plenty of internet legal experts that could probably furnish you with the appropriate documents.
Yeah, maybe.
Some of the rubbish that you see on there, some of which is actually served up in court just for extra humour.
Yeah. Well, they can get AI to write them nowadays, right? And
right, yeah. David.
Yeah, that was great, Peter. I'm just curious. Did you always have tough skin, or did you go through a period in the early days where those kinds of profanity-laden messages actually impacted you emotionally? Like, serious question.
Oh, that's kind of, I wouldn't say I have particularly tough skin, but I think that those kind of emails are so ridiculous that because of the fact that they've gone to the effort of finding my email address in the first place, I'm just like, what is, come on, guys, just sit, pause for 2 minutes and figure it out. Sometimes the most frustrating ones I get are from very persistent companies that run tracking services, and they insist that they shouldn't be on the list. And I have to, first of all, I try and explain, look, my list includes ads and trackers, and you are a tracking service. That's why it's on it. And they go, no, but we have privacy preserving technologies, PTs in use, and we do this and we do that, and our privacy policy is this and whatever. And the thing is that one of the big benefits of using the list is that you're warned, you know about it. It raises visibility, and it pretty much every solution has a way to unblock a domain once you see the block message. Some DNS things are a bit more fiddly, and host files are a bit more fiddly, but in general. So that's one of the main benefits I get from it, and yeah, that's the rule.
Yeah. There's tracking software complaining that you've listed tracking software.
Yeah.
Clues in the name. Yeah.
They just won't give up sometimes, but yeah.
Fair enough. Sam.
Hi there. Thanks very much, Peter. Yeah, great stories, and I can sort of feel your pain and your amusement at the same time. The commentaries from some of those emails. I did wonder whether you've slightly regretted putting your name on the feed.
Oh, yeah.
Inviting that much attention.
I was asked this question as well the last time I did it, and no, I don't actually. I think it's one of the things that's kind of helped me out in life, because so I made a decision like years and years ago, when lots of people still do this. They obfuscate their email addresses. They go PG, or they spell out the P and the G or whatever, at sign whatever. But I tried it, and it didn't really seem to affect how much spam I got. So in the same respect, I put my real name on there because I'm not trying to hide behind anything. I don't mind people knowing, and it hasn't. I can see how it might at some point cause me to regret doing that, but so far I guess I've been lucky and kind of gotten away with it. But also I want to be myself on the internet. I completely see the reason for being anonymous on the internet, and lots of legitimate reasons why you would want to be. But for myself, also it makes my anonymous accounts more private, because I'm not tied to them. Yeah.
And have you noticed any decrease in the emails? I think recently Chrome has been updated, so it's harder for ad blockers like uBlock Origin to work. Maybe people shifting, but
yeah, this is to do with the Manifest v3, which is a new thing that affects the way that extensions work in Chrome specifically, and it's been adopted by other browsers like Firefox as well, I think, although they have limited support for some older things. And it just means that they don't have full access to the network stack, so they can't completely intercept outgoing network requests right at the beginning. And it's all to do with security. So you can actually install something called uBlock Lite now for Chrome, but it's not as effective, and it's not being developed as much as uBlock Origin is. As to whether it's affected the amount of email I receive, not that much, I don't think. I think it's still around long enough. My estimate was about 50 million people who used the list, or used data from my list in some way. And I've upped that recently to, I don't know how many people, but the DNS for EU project is using my list as well, for that ad blocking version of the DNS servers they've got. So I think it's quite a lot of people in the end who are using it. And uBlock Origin is no longer, I think, the biggest. Well, maybe it still is. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, still getting the emails.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Tail?
I just wanted to say that while it was very lovely how it all worked out with Carol, please don't ever send me rainbow email. Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was sweet. You're such a cynic.
Imagining what our next
I will say happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Have a delightful time.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so tempted to just go.
I
But
think, Peter, let's put together a new internet draft for the AD working group, especially for Tao's attention.
yes, yeah, we can encode signaling in the different channels of colors.
You know, it makes sense. Simon.
Thank you for that, Peter. What's the sort of rough division of emails you get between sort of nice ones, awkward ones, and ones that are in the middle and neither here nor there?
It's a real mix. I tried to find the most interesting ones. I'd say at least 50% of them are just very boring.
Yeah.
And I try to put a bit of effort into, if it's a relatively polite email, I don't mind spending a couple of minutes to say, hey, you can probably get past it for this. I had a lot of emails about blocking t.co, which is the URL shortener from Twitter at one point. A lot of angry emails, not just emails, but like LinkedIn messages and Twitter messages and Mastodon messages. And then I had actually had a copy and pasted reply that I would just reply to people. But yeah, there's a mix of like legitimate updates. So people who have like used to own they own a domain which has been on my list for a while, but is no longer being used for tracking. Like they've bought it or something, or it's changed hands somehow. People who I get a lot of like tracking companies who often put their parent domain, like tracker. I don't know, some tracking domain, tracker.tld in the list because it's easier than listing all the subdomains that they've used for tracking. And then they contacted me to say, oh, can you unblock our tracker domain? And I say, well, I can if you have domains which are specifically used for tracking. And sometimes we go through this little exchange and then they send me like API1.tracker.tld, API2.tracker.tld. And I put it on trust as that they won't add more in the future, but sometimes they do. And then I just relist the parent. And then there's people like the support requests they get, like the ones I went through, some more polite support requests. Some updates. There's a few people who regularly send me new domains, especially from different regions of the world. There's a Polish guy who sends me like ads and trackers, ad domains and trackers from there. So it's really, yeah, it's a big old bag of support requests.
Thank you.
I should put it on GitHub and have GitHub issues or something, but I am quite lazy, so I never got around to that.
Thanks.
But thanks, Simon.
Brilliant. Well, didn't see any more hands raised. Looks like it struck a chord, as always, though, Peter, which is always good to hear. And hopefully just makes people realise that the sort of stuff that just quietly works in the background that probably we all are guilty of taking for granted is worth just being more aware about.
Yeah.
That surprisingly, it doesn't just happen.
Thanks for having me on, Andrew. It's nice to share these little stories.
Yeah, good as always. But yeah, you need to work a bit harder on your Christmas art.
I drew that tree. That's a legitimate Christmas decoration. Well,
you know how long it took me to code this rotating tree.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. No, seriously. Yeah, that was really interesting as always. Okay, let's move on. So I will reshare my screen. See, we seem to have forgotten about the community caroling, but maybe we'll come back to that at the end of the call. There's a threat. Okay, so let's just move into. I'm definitely not going to all of these through all of these because there's an astonishingly large number this week. But some of the sort of headlines from the last week or so, many of which have got some sort of relevance to the DNS in some way. So the first one you'll see is regarding the use of Ethereum naming service based command resolution in modern botnets, which I'll give a second sort of reference that in a moment. But yeah, I found this quite interesting because it's where a lot of the threat intelligence teams are identifying as indicators of compromise, relevant DNS domains, and therefore blocking them. Some of the sort of malware, at least, is moving on to ENS as an alternative. As you can see in the quote towards the bottom of that bullet point, the blockchain was used as an unbreakable bulletin board to give orders to viruses. So interesting sort of way that it is pivoting from one to the other. We'll see over the next few months if that is a long-term trend or just something that's happening in the very short term. But yeah, also a reminder we have to cover that, well, not that specifically, but sort of the pros and cons of DNS versus blockchain-based naming at the end of January. Yeah, as I won't go through all of these, but as it's also on the screen, Brickstorm malware has gathered a bit of coverage of late, which focuses on VMware software and the amongst other encrypted protocols. So it's using things like TLS, for example. It's using Doe to help conceal its communications with command and control servers. So not new in the sense of a lot of malware does use Doe in particular, but just the sort of one of the latest examples of that. And then, yeah, just continuing with the Kim Wolf Android botnet story, so which has only been recently discovered. Apparently, is infected. See, 1.8 million, over 1.8 million devices, so quite a lot. Particularly Android smart TVs and TV boxes. Is using DOT to invade, or was using DOT to evade detection, but is sort of moving from DNS to ENS. And there's an example of the domain that it's using currently. I'm sure that will change over time. Yeah, so as I say, it'd be interesting to see if this is something which gathers pace over the next few months. And then we've talked in the past from time to time about the use of the DNS to block access to copyright infringing material. I think Simon's on the call, so this will be of interest to him if he hasn't already seen it, which he probably has. And that's one where the French Football League has managed to get some enforcement action through one of the French courts to block some additional streaming services, allegedly illegal streaming sites. In this instance, applying the court orders to DNS4EU. Which I hadn't seen mentioned, I don't think, previously in some of these. I know they've been court orders against other resolvers, but I wasn't aware of DNS4EU. So yeah, interesting to see that coming up. As I say, I'm not going to go through all of these because there's a surprisingly large amount this week. But and those of you that are on the weekly headlines mailing list will have had them already this morning. And if you're not, email me and I'll happily add you. But also, I'll send up the slides after the call as always, so you can always link through those. Yeah. Then so next one I highlighted was the International Criminal Court Cyber-Enabled Crimes and DNS Abuse, which is a bit of a mouthful, but essentially the International Criminal Court has just adopted a policy on cyber-enabled crimes under the Rome Statute. Don't know, ask me about the Rome Statute. As they say, I am not a lawyer, but a sort of professor of law has sort of written an interesting article about it, which is worth a look. Partly because it may have implications for various people in the sort of the internet ecosystem, infrastructure operators such as resolver operators, because from time to time, there may be orders from the International Criminal Court requiring certain organisations to retain data either longer than they might do, or that they otherwise might not have retained because of issues with particular international law, such as examples that are given: genocide, crimes against humanity, or indeed war crimes. So not a light topic by any means, but yeah, a bit of a niche sort of development in law, but worth being aware of, I think. I'd be interested to see if anything further comes of that. And there's a bunch of other stuff which I won't dwell on, but as you can see, plenty of other stuff happening at the moment. I'd just mention at the bottom two on the screen. One is the penultimate bullet point, a reminder from the Eurodig team to respond to its call for issues by the end of this calendar month, 31st of December, which they use to sort of help build the agenda for the Eurodig 2026 event in May in Brussels. And then the pleasure of attending the UK IGF meeting. Where are we? Just over a week ago, Friday before last, and recordings of some of the sessions are now available, and there's also a short highlights video of about 4 minutes as well, which just gives you a flavour of some of the topics that were covered. And that's a seamless segue. So speaking of the UK IGF, again, I won't go through these at length, but internet governance is pretty important as it impacts on a lot of the stuff that we collectively do. And the UN, middle of last week, concluded its WSIS plus 20 review. So that's the World Summit on the Information Society, WSIS. When it was put in place 20 years ago, there was a requirement to review it every 10 years. So WSIS plus 10 and now WSIS plus 20. That review concluded last Wednesday, and amongst many other things, so I'm going to gloss over all of those. The Internet Governance Forum has been made a permanent thing. It was just a temporary arrangement previously. And there's some comments on that and some of the other outcomes of WSIS plus 20 from a variety of parties. The Internet Society seemed to be broadly positive. The Internet Governance Project, I'd say Milton Muller, Georgia Tech, I would infer not a fan of the United Nations, so he was they had a sort of contrasting perspective on it. The UN, third one down, provided a useful write-up, giving a point of view, and also the European Union was pretty equipped to provide some comments on it as well. So there's a selection there from the most positive through to the more sceptical. So worth a look if that's sort of things of interest to you. And I say it does one way or another impact on all of us along the way. Loads of other things which I definitely won't go through, but lots of other stuff happening. Some commentary, for example, on the Australia social media ban, which is getting on for 2 weeks old. This particular one from Mozilla, obviously not in favour of it, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting experiment to see how well that works. There's plenty of other stuff as well. I'm just seeing if there's anything particularly stood out. Yeah, a suggestion that Claude of the various large language models is the best for cybersecurity, in an article from Dark Reading, and also third bullet down, looking ahead to the 2028 US presidential race. So apologies to those of you in the US, probably because that will kick in surprisingly soon when the early sort of stages of that start off, suggesting that it'd be useful to have a tech skeptic within the field to call out issues. I think they're sort of supporting maybe a third-party candidate alongside the two from the main parties. But you may find that of interest. Yeah, and then loads of other stuff. For example, like my promoting the the zero trust, rather, not net zero, very different thing, zero trust cause, and so on. And then, yeah, the middle one I just mentioned, US seizes eNote crypto exchange for laundering ransomware payments, as a sort of fairly long-standing cryptocurrency skeptic. My view of a lot of the exchanges and wallets is they seem to be effectively a gateway for cybercrime of various sorts, and so that just reinforces my personal prejudice. And then finally, last from bottom, know your customer at the right NCC. I put that in mainly because probably a couple of months ago, on the RIPE mailing list, the main one, there was a little bit of an exchange about data accuracy, your customer, etc. So I was quite impressed to see the RIPE NCC team obviously took that on board, and they've put together a sort of whole post on the topic to hopefully reassure members of the RIPE community. But the fact that responded with something, I think, was good on them. Okay, moving on. For a few just prompts on forthcoming dates, or again, I won't go through most of these, but just a prompt. The first one, I know we've gone past the 12th of December, but I just put this in probably for the last time as a reminder that the European Union's multi-stakeholder forum on internet standards deployment, which they had people from the Commission come to RIPE, to the ITF meeting and probably other meetings as well, to explain what that's all about. But you can click on the link to get more details if you're interested. But they're trying to encourage people with knowledge of internet standards, including things like email as well as DNS and routing, I think. Probably one of the topics, but there's definitely 4 topics, can't remember the 4th one, to come forward to help identify BCP type material, to signpost that for people to help them become compliant with the NIS2 legislation within the EU. The reason I've highlighted that this one last time is, although they had a sort of notional deadline of the 12th of December for people to apply, it's only a soft deadline. You can apply at any point through the lifetime of this multi-stakeholder forum. The logic for the 12th of December was they're planning to meet in, I think, late January for the first time, and the Commission team guaranteed that anyone that applied before the 12th, their application would have been processed in time for them to attend, should they wish to, assuming they're successful. So you can still apply, it is still open, and it will be open for some while yet. And then I mentioned Eurodig 26. You got till the 31st December to put forward issues, which will then be assessed. They start to group them to do a bottom-up build of what the agenda for that meeting should look like. And then the last one I mentioned is it's relatively soon. In fact, will occur on, I think next call's on the 5th, is Apricot APNX 61. Call for presentations concludes on the 5th of January. So if anyone's planning to go to that, then that's just a reminder of that. There are other deadlines, but we won't worry about them until the new year. Okay, and then there's a whole bunch of meetings coming up. Next one I'm aware of that's reasonably relevant is NANOG 96 in San Francisco, and then things build from there through February and March. And I corrected it on the email, but clearly not on the side. I do apologise to Alexi, even though he's not on the call. Hopefully you'll see the recording. Nog.fi will not be meeting in Montreal. Don't go to Montreal for that. It will be meeting in Tampere. Probably mispronounced that, so you'll be on the wrong continent if you head for Montreal. I will fix that on the slide before the next one. I don't quite know how that slipped through, but there you are. And then finally, for the avoidance of doubt, we don't have a call next Monday because most of you will be doing fun things with friends, family, relations, whatever. But anyway, we won't have a call next Monday. We will have a call Monday after that, but I haven't yet finalised if we're going to have a topic for that or not. It may be more informal, which might be quite suitable for the first call back into the new year, and then so we've got things running sort of through from there, as you can see. And I should, say, as we're at the end of the year, thank you for DNS Unlock for their long-term support, sponsorship of the call, which is always very much appreciated. I'll pause there. But any other business? And then, yes, so you can see a hopefully festive-looking slide to end with. But let's just see. And I also should say, as I stop sharing, you can just about see it. I am modelling. Very fetchingly, I hope, a Quad 9 merchandising, which I've mentioned this on the last call. Quad 9 do sort of sell this to make a small amount of profit to put towards their operating costs. So it's an easy way of supporting them and getting some stylish wear at the same time. I ought to get a commission code from Simon, but I'm imagining he probably won't offer me one of those, a referral code. But, anyway, yes, seriously, I did buy this with my own money, quite comfortable, and an easy way of putting a little bit of money, small bit, a smidgen of money into Quad 9 at the same time. Right, let me stop talking though and see, does anyone have anything else you want to talk about? Anything else on your mind? Anything else you want to come in with? You're very welcome if you wish. Either raise your virtual hand, put something in the chat, or just unmute and talk if nobody else is. Otherwise, we might just about have enough time for me to pass back over to Peter to lead the community carol singing.
Sadly, I've got to go. Happy Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Probably a good way to get people off the call. No, seriously, we won't do that because that would be horrific. I can't speak for Peter. It would be if my mind was on, that's for sure. I'm sure it would be fantastic, Peter.
No, it would be horrific. With you, Andrew.
Depending on which James it is, if it's James from Ofcom, he's in a male voice choir, so perhaps I should have. Thinking about it, I should have tried to co-opt him to do it, but he may have been can you have a solo male voice choir? I'm not sure if that's a thing. Probably would have been. So it would have been sad and very horrible. Anyway, right, well, enough of that. Have a fantastic week, everyone. I'm just seeing Simon putting something about tax for internet advertising. Hopefully that's not trying to dampen my enthusiasm for a referral link to Quad 9 from our sort of UK government. I'm sure it wasn't. Anyway, no, seriously, have a fantastic break, everyone. Enjoy your holidays, whatever you're going to do. Very artful. Whoever was smart.
Thank you, Eric.
And Tel, I'm sure, is thrilled with with the colourfulness, if that's a word, of that.
Just not in my text email. Color in general, wonderful. Not in my email.
Advertising holding outside your house, Tel, that could find its way onto between now and the new year. I'm sure you'd love that.
Fantastic. So looking forward to it. And I would encourage you to make some resolutions about keeping your email nice and tidy.
There's the usual yearly joke about making DNS resolutions. There's somewhere, I think, but I'm far too classy to make any kind of joke like that personally.
I haven't heard that one, but yes, that's very good. Right, well, on that note, as I say, have a brilliant time off and hopefully speak to you on the 5th of January, which will fly by. Enjoy. Thanks, everyone. Speak to you in the new year. And a happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.